After coming out of the operating room, the sky outside the window was already completely dark. I tidied myself up and took out my phone to unlock the screen. An hour ago, Leo asked me when I would go home tonight. I said I had to work overtime. Without waiting for his reply, I was hurriedly called to the operating room and didn't finish until now. I clicked on Leo's chat box. There was a message half an hour ago. Oh, I'm also working overtime. There were also several prompts indicating that some messages had been recalled above. I don't know what he sent. I wanted to type and ask, but I thought it wasn't quite right. After all, although we're already married, we've only known each other for a month. After a long while, I still typed out a message. You've worked hard. This time, the other side quickly replied with ellipses. I've been married to Leo for less than a month. It was so hasty that we didn't even hold a wedding. Since getting the marriage certificate, we've only met 3 times. Such a marriage is really rather cold. Because our marriage itself was an accident. A month ago, I went on a business trip to another city to attend a lecture and met him at the hotel. Due to the irregularity of my heat period and the extreme compatibility of my pheromones with Leo's, we spent a rather wild night, and unexpectedly I was permanently marked. But ultimately, this whole thing was my fault, so I didn't intend to ask Leo to take responsibility. There was an important lecture the next day. I got up early with red marks all over my body, left my contact information and an apology letter, and then rushed off. After 2 days of non-stop work, when I finally came to my senses, I realized that I hadn't received a single call from an unknown number. Due to the special constitution of an omega, the bite marks on the gland have also returned to normal, leaving only 2 faint tooth marks. To avoid potential troubles, I made an appointment with a doctor to have the mark removal surgery. That night, a dark red sports car stopped in front of me. Leo frowned slightly, looking at me impatiently and said, "Daniel, let's get married." At first, I actually worried that Leo proposed marriage because of the lifelong mark. I explained to him that I could have the removal surgery. Instead, he glared at me fiercely and told me to get in the car. Then I was taken to a restaurant. In the private room, my parents and his parents were chatting happily. Without my knowledge, Leo took his parents to my home to propose marriage and apologize. Just like that, we got married. Actually, I was still a little happy. Leo is good looking and the compatibility of our pheromones is as high as 95%. Strangely enough, the rose-scented pheromone and the wheat-scented pheromone have such a high compatibility. However, I really like the smell of his pheromone. I feel very comfortable and relaxed when I'm with him. But Leo doesn't seem to think so. He seems to be a bit repulsed by me. We just started living together 3 days ago. Before that, for the convenience of going to work, I rented an apartment near the hospital. I didn't really feel like I was married and I didn't have much contact with Leo, so I just continued to live there. Until 3 days ago, Leo suddenly picked me up from work and said that his mother told him to take me home to live. It's really not appropriate for newly wedded husbands to live separately. I plan to go back and pack up my things and move there in a few days. But Leo grabbed my hand and pulled me away, saying, "You don't need to take anything. There's everything at home." After saying that, he paused for a moment and continued, "My mom prepared them." It was almost 10 o'clock when I got home. The house was pitch black. Leo hadn't come back yet. I still felt a bit awkward using the unfamiliar furniture. I thought that if I could hardly see Leo in a month and we would sleep in separate rooms when I got home, there was no difference between living together or not. It would be much more convenient to go back to my previous place. After taking a shower while rubbing my sore neck, I heard the sound of the door opening. Immediately afterwards, someone shouted, "Is sister-in-law at home?" The voice was very unfamiliar. I poked my head out and looked, and I caught the person's eye. He was Leo's buddy. Leo introduced him to me on the day we got our marriage certificate. I just found his face familiar but couldn't remember his name. The man was supporting Leo. When he saw me, he looked at me as if I were his savior and said, "Sister-in-law, come and help me quickly. Leo is drunk today. I really have no strength left." After helping Leo to the sofa, the man immediately said goodbye. "Then I'll go back first, sister-in-law. I'll leave Leo to you. Just cover him with a blanket. Don't wear yourself out." Then he ran away in a hurry. There was still water hanging on my hair. I wiped it with a towel a couple of times. Smelling the alcohol in the room, I squatted down and looked at Leo. He squinted his eyes and lay there snoring loudly. Liar. Didn't he say he was going to work overtime tonight? So he went drinking instead. I leaned over and sniffed gently. There was no smell of other Omega's pheromones. Just as I was about to get up and get a blanket for him, Leo suddenly reached out and pulled me. He directly pressed me into his arms. The smell of alcohol mixed with Leo's perfume made my nose sting. Immediately afterwards, there was a soft sensation on my neck. Leo rubbed his lips against my body and mumbled, "Wife, I want to smell your scent." This was the first time Leo had called me wife, even though he was drunk. He usually just called me by my name in a blunt way when we met. I felt my heart soften a little. Just as I was about to release some pheromones, my neck was licked by something wet. Leo smacked his lips and smiled. "So sweet, wife?" Then he tilted his head and fell asleep. All that was left for me was to touch the place that had been licked with my heart beating fast. Leo got me all covered in the smell of alcohol, but he himself fell into a deep sleep. I got a blanket and covered him with it. Then I took another shower. After that, I touched my gradually heating gland and tossed and turned in bed for a long time before falling asleep. When I woke up again, there was no one in the room. After a simple wash, the sound of the door opening rang out. Leo came back with a bag of breakfast. The sweat on his body mixed with the early autumn dew, making him look a bit disheveled. I glanced at him, but he beat me to the punch. "I went for a run this morning and brought this back, by the way." I nodded, and Leo put down the breakfast and went into the bathroom. When he came out of the shower, I was bringing the heated milk to the table. "Thank you for last night." Leo hung the towel around his neck. Under his beautiful face, he was wearing a white vest, showing a large expanse of muscles. Pity that such a beautiful sight couldn't make up for his blunt tone. Although it had only been a few days, I was already used to it. He was so clingy and called me wife after getting drunk last night, but his attitude changed completely when he woke up. I couldn't figure out his temper at all. Forget it. If I can't figure it out, I won't try. I took a bite of the bun and gave a grunt as a response. Leo continued, "Mom heard that you're off today and wants us to go back for a meal." Then he paused and added, "My mom. Amelia's place isn't too far away. Takes less than half an hour to drive there." As soon as I entered the door, Amelia walked over warmly. She is a female Omega. The love from her husband has not left many traces of time on her face. She held my hand and led me to the sofa with a smile, saying, "Is work tiring? You finally have a day off, but don't stay at home." Before she could finish speaking, she was interrupted by, "Leo, Mom, I'm thirsty." Amelia rolled her eyes at him and said, "Do you still expect me to pour water for you?" Then she continued to ask me, "Are you comfortable living in the new environment? If there's anything missing at home, just tell Leo. You're already married. Don't be shy." Thinking of the complete daily necessities at home, including even the relatively private Omega inhibitors, I sincerely thanked Amelia. Amelia patted my hand, glanced behind me, and said with a smile that it was okay. After lunch, Amelia has the habit of taking a nap, so she asked me to go to Leo's room to rest too. I wanted to refuse, but unexpectedly Leo stood up suddenly and said, "Let's go." Then, in Amelia's gratified look, I was taken into Leo's room by him. Leo's room is very empty. Apart from a bed and a wardrobe, there is only a bookshelf with a few books on it. There is almost no pheromone in the room. Leo should have not lived here for a long time. The pajamas are here. Leo opened the wardrobe and took out a set of dark blue pajamas from it. "You take a nap first. I'll wake you up when it's time to go home later." Then he left the room with a dodging look in his eyes. I felt the pajamas that obviously showed signs of being worn. When I picked them up, a faint smell of roses wafted towards me. It's Leo's pheromone. The pheromone compatibility is a thing that's hard to explain. It seems scientific, but it links two unrelated people in a simple way. Wearing Leo's clothes, even my pores are shouting for comfort. It's not good for the body to lie down right after a meal. I played with my phone for a while. After reading the messages in the department group, there was nothing else to do, so I had to start looking around at the things beside me again. I saw a photo on Leo's bedside table. It's a single photo. The young man in it is wearing a school uniform, looking down at his phone. He looks a bit impatient but also unrestrained and free. It's a photo of him in high school. As soon as my gaze moved away from the photo, I suddenly saw half a face peeking out from behind a tree in the right corner. I picked up the photo and examined it closely. Yes, that was me. I remembered. This seemed to be the time when Leo graduated from senior high school. Yes, Leo and I attended the same high school. He was 1 grade ahead of me. Moreover, I had a crush on him in high school. Specifically, I was attracted to him when I first experienced the pangs of love. I secretly harbored a crush on him for a year. On the day of his graduation, I confessed my feelings to him. Of course, I never deluded myself into expecting a response. After all, in high school, I was just a bookworm in the eyes of my classmates, while Leo was a well-known figure in school. He was handsome and a top-notch alpha. There were countless pretty omegas chasing after him. So I took the opportunity to confess my feelings to him the day before his graduation. After telling him how I felt, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to my studies. He should have forgotten about that by now. But why is there half of my face in this photo? Could it be that he has always known about me? I turned on the front camera of my phone and looked at my own face. In the photo, my facial features were not as well defined as they are now. I was wearing black, framed glasses and pursing my lips nervously. If I weren't so familiar with those glasses, I probably wouldn't have recognized myself. Let alone Leo. Shaking off the unrealistic thoughts in my head, I put the photo back in its original place. The afternoon sun slipped through the window and half of it landed on the floor, looking rather lazy. I was woken up by Leo. His eyes wandered around the room for a couple of times and finally landed on the quilt. Don't sleep too long, or you won't be able to fall asleep at night. You have to go to work tomorrow. I sat up, touching my slightly flushed face after waking up. Thank you. Leo took a quick glance at me. When he saw the photo frame whose position had been moved by me on the bedside table, his eyes lit up. He reached out and picked it up. Did you look at my photo? I nodded. Yes, it was taken when you were in high school. You look very good looking. Leo gave me a strange look. Don't you have anything to say to me? I watched him holding the photo and didn't want to let go. Then I suddenly realized. You still look good now. Leo took a deep breath. He put the photo back in place and changed the topic. Since you have a day off today, let's go to your place later and move your things back home. Speaking of this, I remembered what happened last night and decided to have a talk with Leo. My working hours are unstable and you often work overtime. It's quite convenient there. Before I could finish my words, Leo looked at me all of a sudden. What do you mean? It means that I'll still live there during weekdays and go back home on holidays. Leo didn't say a word. I couldn't see his face clearly and didn't know what he was thinking. Suddenly, he asked quickly, do you dislike my overtime work? No, I just want to sleep a little longer in the morning. Leo fell silent again. Leo just replied with an, oh. He turned around and left. It seemed that Leo was angry. A friend called him and his tone wasn't very good. Play? You only know how to play. You're so old and still playing every day. The friend on the other end of the phone said. Did you swallow a firecracker today? Swallow what firecracker? Can that thing be eaten? You're crazy. Come here quickly if you're okay. I heard that Hudson was discovered by his sugar daddy and now he's been kicked out of the house. Leo straightened up at once. What? Wait for me. I'll come right away. After hanging up the phone, Leo looked back at me. Now he's been kicked out of the house. Leo sat up straight at once. What? Wait for me. I'll come right away. After hanging up the phone, Leo looked back at me. I smiled at him. It's okay. You can go. Leo looked a bit awkward. Let me take you home first. I'm not going home now. Leo immediately looked up. Then where are you going? Benjamin invited me to dinner. I'll go there later. After I finished speaking, it seemed that Leo let out a sigh of relief. Where did you make the appointment? I'll take you there. Then he pulled me into the car without giving me a chance to refuse. I'll take you there. Then he pulled me into the car without giving me a chance to refuse. Watching Leo's cool sports car driving away, a small hand patted me on the shoulder. Stop looking. The car exhaust is poisonous. I turned around. Benjamin wrinkled his fair and tender little face and then pulled me into the restaurant. Benjamin, an Omega, is my only bosom friend. He works in a research institute now. Usually we'll arrange our schedules to have the same days off and then go out to relax. I've been busy recently and just got married. We haven't gotten together for almost a month. Did your alpha bring you here? Benjamin ordered most of the desserts in the restaurant and asked at the same time. I nodded. Yes. Benjamin smiled with curved eyes. Your relationship is quite good. I know. This is called falling in love after marriage. I paused and didn't reply, because I know that Leo doesn't love me at all. Our marriage is just due to the pheromones. Oh, that's a pity. You two are exactly like the plot in a novel. Then Benjamin nodded seriously. I think your story is still developing and you will definitely fall in love later. Benjamin doesn't have many hobbies, but he likes reading, especially online novels. When he heard about my relationship with Leo back then, he immediately dug out an online novel called Love After Marriage, The Omega Can't Escape, and compared my story with the plot in the novel. And he concluded, "You're about to fall in love." That's the conclusion. Although I was puzzled, I chose to respect his opinion. Eating desserts, Benjamin and I chatted casually. Does he know that you confessed your love to him in high school? I shook my head, not yet. That's a pity. You should tell him. He doesn't remember me anymore, so it doesn't really matter whether I tell him or not. Although what you said makes sense. But I think this will greatly enhance your relationship in the future. Benjamin said firmly. I couldn't help but look up and ask, why do you think so? Benjamin replied without hesitation, that's how it's written in the novels. Benjamin has a high IQ but a very low EQ. This is also the main reason why he works in the research institute. At this moment, he looked so serious that I somehow trusted him and asked, really? Benjamin blinked his eyes, I'm not sure. After all, I haven't studied this topic. It was redundant of me to ask. In early autumn, it gets dark earlier gradually. Just after saying goodbye to Benjamin, the phone rang. It was Leo calling. Have you finished your meal? Where are you? I'll come and pick you up. Leo seemed to be speaking in a low voice with a hint of hoarseness. After a pause, he added, wife. I took the phone away from my ear and checked the contact note carefully. It was definitely Leo. Did you drink? No. His tone sounded normal. But looking at the taxi that had just stopped, I opened the door and got in. Trying to hold back the blush on my ears, I said into the phone, thank you, it's okay. I've already got in the taxi. Leo fell silent for a moment and I could only hear his increasingly heavy breathing. To ease the awkward atmosphere, I added, see you at home. Then Leo just replied with an Since Leo and I agreed to continue living in the rented house, I didn't plan to go back the next day after work. Usually at this time, Leo would send me a message, but today it was quiet. For a moment when I picked up the phone, I felt a bit unnatural. Just as I was packing up my things and getting ready to leave work, there was a knock on the office door. Come in. As soon as the words left my mouth, the door was pushed open. Standing at the door was Leo in a neat gray suit, holding a bunch of roses in his hand. Behind him were a group of doctors and nurses who were watching with interest. Dr. Daniel, your husband has come to pick you up from work. Hanging my white coat in the wardrobe, I reached out to take the flowers Leo offered. Why did you come? To pick you up from work, wife? Leo called me so naturally as if he had called me this way many times before, not at all like a person who had just been married for a month. It was very strange. I took another look at him. Is there something on my face? He asked. I shook my head, no. After leaving the hospital, Leo continued to follow me. I had to hold the flowers and explain, I'm staying here tonight. Leo nodded, I know. I'll see you off. Leo was wearing a suit and I was holding a big bunch of roses in my hand. We were very eye-catching together. Finally, when we got to the downstairs of the rented house, I turned around, stood still, and said to Leo, we're here. Then let's go up. Saying that, Leo took the lead and started climbing the stairs before me. The houses near the hospital are relatively old. The house I rented was only for the sake of being close, so there was no elevator. Even after I put the roses in the vase, I still couldn't figure out why Leo had come into the house. Not knowing what he was up to with his series of actions, I asked, aren't you going home? Leo, who seemed very at ease, walked around the house and finally sat on the sofa. Haven't I already arrived home? It was only at this moment that I realized that Leo wanted to stay here. But there is only one bed here. When I lived with Leo before, we always slept separately. Leo got up again and took a look into the bedroom. It's big enough. We can even roll around on it. He said it so naturally, but it made my fingertips twitch involuntarily. Looking at Leo's increasingly strange behavior, I chose to stop trying to figure it out. I took some vegetables from the fridge and simply cooked 2 dishes for a makeshift dinner. Just as I put the dishes on the table, someone knocked on the door. Leo opened the door first and came face to face with the person outside. Hello, are you Dr. Daniel's husband? The familiar voice made me peek over. Dr. He. Samuel looked over and said with a smile, Dr. Daniel, I went to the supermarket before coming back and brought you a cold, dressed chicken by the way. Leo glanced back at me with his eyes. He took the cold, dressed chicken Samuel offered. Thank you. It's okay, just a coincidence. Then I'll go back first. After Samuel said that, he turned around and went upstairs. When Leo turned around with the cold, dressed chicken in hand, I had already set out the plates. Give it to me. I'll put it in a bowl. The supermarket where Samuel bought the cold, dressed chicken isn't far from here. I originally planned to go there after work today, but unfortunately Leo came. I thought I wouldn't be able to have it. The sour and spicy aroma made me salivate involuntarily. Just as I picked up the chopsticks and was about to put a piece into my mouth, my wrist was grabbed. Leo exerted a little force and the piece of meat that was already at my mouth was diverted and ended up in his. After chewing a couple of times, he said, "He's a beta, right? You two seem to have a good relationship." I was puzzled. Well, it's okay. He usually leaves his son at my place when he has a night shift. Son. A very cute little boy. Leo let go of my hand, then it's okay. He picked up a piece of meat and put it in his mouth. As if he suddenly realized something was wrong, Leo asked again, "He's working overtime. Why does he leave the child with you? Where's his wife?" Dr. Liang is a single father. Before I could finish my sentence, my wrist was grabbed again. Leo's voice was tinged with shock. A single father? Leo fell silent. Then he stared at me with his dark eyes. I moved my hand and found that he was holding it even tighter. When did you two get to know each other? Leo's voice came softly. Let go of my hand first. Leo seemed not to hear. I had no choice but to answer his question. For years ago in the operating room, he had a postpartum hemorrhage and I performed the operation on him. Leo frowned slightly. Isn't he a beta? Yes. I heard that the child was forcibly placed in his gestational sac, taking advantage of Leo's momentary daze. I pulled my hand back. Let's eat first. The dishes will get cold. The topic about Samuel was thus dropped. Although I couldn't understand Leo's strange behavior today, I still went to bed at the usual time as always. Leo, who had just taken a shower, entered the room for less than 2 seconds and then turned around and went out. I called out to stop him. Aren't you going to sleep? Leo was wearing ill-fitting clothes and tugged at the hem of his clothes. I'm going to brush my teeth. By the time Leo shuffled around outside for nearly half an hour, I was extremely sleepy. Just as I was about to go to sleep under the quilt, the light went out with a click. Leo shuffled over to the bed and lingered for a while before lying down close to the edge of the bed. Fighting back my sleepiness, I asked, "Aren't you afraid of rolling off?" I had clearly left a big space for him in the middle. It's okay. Probably because he had brushed his teeth, Leo's voice was a bit hoarse. Go to sleep quickly. A faint rose fragrance wafted over from the side. It instantly woke me up, although I had been very sleepy just now. It's impossible not to let my mind wander. After all, this was the second time we had slept in the same bed. The first time was that night in the hotel. Those pictures involuntarily started to appear in my mind. In the dark, one's senses were constantly magnified. Even though Leo's breathing was some distance away, it felt like it was right next to my ear. All the little things that had happened these days flashed through my mind. Thinking about Leo's completely changed attitude today, I summoned up the courage to ask, "Why do you want to marry me?" Actually, I had thought about this question at the beginning, but most of the time, the little flutter in my heart had overshadowed it. After all, Leo was the one I had liked since I was young. The moment I asked the question, I couldn't help but clench my fists, and my pheromones overflowed uncontrollably. The faint wheat fragrance and the rose fragrance intertwined, chased each other, and finally merged together as if they were fermented, making my heart beat faster and faster. Suddenly, Leo moved and lay flat on his back. I pricked up my ears but didn't hear a response. The next second, Leo suddenly sat up and ran out of the bedroom as if fleeing in a hurry, saying, "I'll sleep outside." My heart gave another twinge. I should have understood that Leo only feels guilt and a sense of responsibility towards me. Our pheromones can blend into each other without any hindrance, but we can't. The initial excitement faded away and the sense of loss kept sinking. Just as he was about to close the door, a strange feeling welled up in my chest and I blurted out, "How about we get a divorce?" Since I impulsively proposed a divorce that night, Leo has never contacted me again. I want to send him a message, but every time I pick up my phone, I don't know what to talk about. Just like this, a week passed. One day at work, a pair of acquaintances came to the consulting room. The pregnant Omega strode ahead while the Alpha behind carefully supported him, afraid that he might stumble. As they were about to enter the door, the Omega directly blocked the Alpha outside and unceremoniously closed the door. Don't be angry. It's not good for your body and the baby. The Omega named Mason was originally a patient of my teacher and was transferred to me 2 days ago. He came here for a prenatal check, up to date. I looked at his report. There was nothing wrong, but he lacked the soothing of the Alpha pheromones. So I gave my advice. You and your baby are now in great need of the sense of security brought by the Alpha pheromones. You need to get a lifelong mark from your Alpha as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will have an impact on the baby. Mason remained calm and said indifferently, "He's dead." I slightly raised my eyes and saw a man lying on the translucent glass of the door, constantly peeping inside. It was the alpha who had accompanied Mason here just now. It's normal for newly wedded couples to have conflicts. At this thought, I inexplicably thought of myself and Leo. I shook off the thoughts unrelated to work in my mind and prescribed some soothing medicine for Mason. Mason got up with the prescription and the door was opened. The tall alpha circled around Mason like a puppy twice and helped him leave. Not long after, the alpha came back again. He asked about Mason's situation during the prenatal check, up again, and I told him everything one by one. Before leaving, he said with a troubled look on his face, "Dr. Daniel, my name is Hudson. I'm a friend of Brother Leo. Brother Leo has been in a bad mood these days and has been drinking all day." "Hudson? I've heard this name in Leo's phone calls. What's wrong with him?" I asked. "I'm not quite sure. I only heard it's because you're going to divorce him." Soon it was time to get off work. I have a day off tomorrow. As we agreed before, I have to go home today. But now Leo and I are in an awkward situation similar to a Cold War. I sat in the office for a while and finally decided to go home. But when I opened the door, the house was as empty as before. Leo wasn't there. Remembering what Hudson said, I went out again without even changing my shoes. I once heard Leo talking to his friend on the phone and he mentioned a bar. I entered the address into the navigation and went there. I searched around inside but didn't find Leo. The mixed pheromones even made me want to vomit. Just when I was about to give up, a voice came from behind me. "Sister-in-law? What are you doing here?" I turned around and saw the man who sent Leo home when he was drunk last time. He seemed to get excited and started dancing around. "Are you here to find Leo?" "He's not here. He's at his old house. I'll take you to him." Being led out of the bar by the man, he kept chattering. "Leo hasn't been here since he got married. He just drinks alone at home, saying that you have a cleanliness fetish and don't like the messy smell." Seeing that I didn't say a word, the man's voice got softer and softer. Finally, he scratched his head and said, "Sister-in-law, my name is William." I gave him a polite smile and said, "Just call me Daniel. Tell me the address and I'll go there by myself." "Thank you." Okay. He said, "You don't like the messy smells, ooh." Seeing that I didn't say a word, the man's voice got softer and softer. Finally, he scratched his head and said, "Sister-in-law, my name is William. I gave him a polite smile and said, "Just call me Daniel. Tell me the address and I'll go there by myself." "Thank you." Okay. I followed the address William gave me and found Leo's old house. The door was locked. I called Leo but no one answered. I rang the doorbell and waited for a long time before I heard a staggering sound approaching. With a click, the door opened from the inside. A strong smell of wine rushed out. Leo had only done up 2 buttons of his pajamas and his hair was in a mess. He looked like he hadn't been out for days. He frowned and opened his eyes. The moment he saw me, his eyes suddenly looked confused. "Wife? Why are you here?" As he spoke, Leo's body went limp. I reached out and caught him just before he fell to the ground. I closed the door and supported Leo into the house. There were quite a few empty wine bottles on the coffee table. It didn't seem like a large amount, but Leo was really quite drunk. I supported Leo into the bedroom. The layout here was similar to the bedroom in Amelia's house. The moment he touched the bed, Leo threw himself onto it, taking me with him. He pinched my shoulder with his fingers and let out a couple of muffled laughs with his head buried in the quilt. "It's warm." As he spoke, he turned his head and looked into my eyes. "Wife, you've come to see me." Although Leo's eyes were confused, I could clearly feel that they were fixed on my face. I responded with an and said about what I said last time regarding divorce. I originally intended to offer an explanation, but unexpectedly, Leo covered his head and buried himself back in the quilt, saying, "Stop talking. I won't listen." It turned out that drunk Leo was a bit fond of acting coquettishly. I smiled helplessly. "Okay, I won't say it. Come out first. It's uncomfortable to be buried like this." Leo didn't move and continued, "I knew you wouldn't come to see me on your own initiative. And now that you're here, you still want a divorce. I don't want to talk to you." "Why?" Leo's tone was full of grievance. "I like you so much. And yet you still want to divorce me." I, who was usually calm, was full of question marks. "You like me?" Leo suddenly exploded. "Yes, I like you. I'm crazy about you. I've liked you since you confessed your love to me, but you never came to see me again. When I came to see you on my own initiative, you pretended not to see me." "Wait a minute." I was a bit confused for a moment. "When did you come to see me?" "I didn't know." Leo moved his head out of the quilt, tilted it, and there were tears in his eyes. "During the winter vacation of our freshman year, I went to the school to see you. You walked past me, without even looking at me. When he got to the sad part, two big tears rolled down Leo's face. You've forgotten about me. You didn't recognize me at the hotel either. You just left a stack of money and walked away. What do you take me for? I tried to explain. I left you my phone number. Leo blinked his eyes. Really? But I didn't see it. I was so angry when I saw the money that I threw it in the trash can. I guess the phone number was thrown in with it. Just this one sentence suddenly calmed Leo's emotions. He held my hand, his eyes full of hope. So you've always remembered me, right? Yes. Then why do you want a divorce? This question made me look embarrassed. I thought you married me because of the lifelong mark. You didn't seem very happy. Leo immediately retorted, no. I was very happy. I was just a bit angry because I thought you'd forgotten about me. As he spoke, Leo slowly rubbed his head against me. His breathing got closer and closer. Leo stared at the red corners of his eyes and asked, Wife, do you like me? The smell of roses got stronger and stronger until it surrounded me completely. It was as comfortable as being in a spring garden, making people let down all their defenses. Yes, I like you. The lips that were close to mine curved into a smile, and the next second he fell back onto the bed. Leo fell asleep again in an instant. The next day, I woke up in Leo's arms. Before even opening my eyes, I felt someone touch my face, and then I was pulled into their embrace. As soon as I opened my eyes, Leo's voice was filled with surprise. Wife, are you awake? Like getting a new and interesting toy. Leo tightened his hand on my waist and rubbed his head against my neck. Looking at me with bright eyes, he asked, Wife, was what you said last night true? It was true. Leo looked so cute that I leaned down and kissed his lips. The next moment, Leo rolled over and pressed on top of me, and the rose fragrance rushed over overwhelming. Leo nibbled on my lips and kept rubbing. Wife, open your mouth. Seeing the atmosphere getting hotter and hotter, Leo suddenly stopped his hands. Wife, it's time to go to work. I reached out and hooked Leo's neck, breathing slightly heavily. I'm off today. Soon. The rose, scented pheromone wrapped around the faint fragrance of wheat, constantly blending and surging. Finally, it brewed a pool of clear spring-like liquor. It made people sink into it. When it came to being naughty, Leo was even more excessive than last time. Leo kept going until the sun was almost setting yesterday. I was so hungry that I ate something and then fell asleep. I was so tired that I didn't open my eyes until now. I didn't even want to move a finger all over my body. It was the phone ringing that made me get up. As soon as I answered, it was Benjamin calling. Daniel, weren't you off yesterday? Why didn't you reply to my message all day? Some blushing scenes from last night flashed through my mind again. Suddenly, I thought what Benjamin said before was quite right. After coughing lightly twice, I changed the topic. I had something to do yesterday. What's up? It's okay. I'm just a little worried. As long as you're okay. Well, I'll hang up first. I'm going into the laboratory. Okay. Just as I hung up the phone, Leo pushed the door open and came in. Wife, are you awake? Leo with a wet head leaned over and kissed my face. Are you hungry? I'll go buy breakfast. What would you like to eat? Fried dough sticks. Okay. Leo kissed me again. Wait for me. I'll be back soon. Then he changed his clothes and rushed out the door in a hurry. A gentle breeze blew and I turned my head to look outside. The leaves outside the window had started to lose their color. Summer was completely over. Now it was the best time to sow wheat. Leo's extra story. Today was the last day of high school. It's also the day to take graduation photos. Watching the excited classmates running around everywhere, I'm not very interested in it. Isn't it just a graduation? What's more annoying is that a group of junior students asked me to take photos with them. I dodged the calls of my friends and found a corner of the school to play match 3 games on my phone. I don't know how long it had passed when a sound of footsteps came towards me. I looked up and saw a boy in school uniform. The black, framed glasses he wore covered most of his face, but it made his skin look even fairer. The boy walked straight towards me and unhesitatingly took out a letter, to be exact, a love letter, and handed it to me. Senior, I like you. The boy said so. The summer breeze blew through the leaves, bringing a burst of fragrance. My hand uncontrollably took the love letter. The only thought in my mind was, his voice was also very nice. When I came to my senses, the boy had already left. I opened his love letter and learned his name. Daniel. What are you looking at so intently? William held up the camera in front of me from behind. I secretly took a photo of you just now. Isn't it nice? In the camera, I was looking down at my phone, and the half face showing in the distance was exactly that boy named Daniel. Later, when I went out with my friends during the summer vacation, I always thought of that face from time to time. It wasn't until I went to college that I realized that I probably fell in love with him at first sight. Love has never had a reason. After figuring this out, I immediately bought a ticket and went back during my free time. When I stood in front of him again and watched him walking slowly towards me, I could hear my heart pounding violently because of nervousness. How should I greet him? He said he liked me. Why didn't he ever look for me before? He really looked so good. In a blink of an eye, he walked up to me. I reached out my hand to say hello, but he just walked past me as if he didn't see me. Does he not remember me? Could it be that he was playing some truth or dare game? In an instant, my heart that was pounding just now dropped like a stone. Half dead. I thought that the young crush would never have a future. But unexpectedly, after so many years, I met him again. It was still in a hotel. He hasn't changed much from before, except that his black, framed glasses have been replaced with gold-rimmed ones. The only difference is that at this moment, his face is flushed, and the pheromones emanating from his body are getting stronger and stronger, attracting the attention of all the alphas around. I know this matter should be handled by the hotel staff, but looking at the covetous looks around, I still couldn't control my steps and rushed over, covering him with my overcoat. My original intention was to give him a temporary mark, but in the end, I was so enticed that I lost my head and exhausted him. The strong smell of pheromones seemed familiar to me. It wasn't until later that I realized it was the smell of that summer day. When I woke up the next day, the other side of the bed was already cold, but there was an extra stack of money on the table. The feeling of my heart dropping like a stone. I experienced it again. I should be angry, and I really am angry. But when I think about impulsively giving him a lifelong mark at that time, I can't stay angry. After all, it's my fault. Anyway, let's deceive him into coming home first. So I told my father about this. After being beaten half to death, I shamelessly asked my father to visit his family to propose marriage on my behalf. I went to Daniel's hospital myself and brought him back. It wasn't until I got the marriage certificate that I finally felt relieved. But looking at my wife, who had no impression of me at all, I was extremely anxious. On one hand, I was annoyed that he didn't remember me at all. On the other hand, I couldn't help getting close to him. It wasn't until I heard that my friend's younger brother was kicked by his wife for lying that I woke up. No, it doesn't matter whether he remembers what happened a few years ago. The most important thing is to pester him and make him like me now. But just as I was getting started, a bucket of cold water was poured on me. My wife actually wanted to divorce me. I shed tears and drowned my sorrows in wine. I was decadent for several days, and finally I figured it out. This marriage must not end in divorce. Just when I was thinking about how to persuade my wife to change her mind, my wife actually came to me on his own initiative. This was the first time he had come to me on his own initiative. He still wanted to bring up the topic of divorce. Of course, I wouldn't allow it. I heard that tears are a man's best dowry, so I burst into tears on the spot. If I weren't afraid that crying too loudly would scare my wife, I would have howled. Sure enough, my wife started to comfort me. He said he didn't want a divorce. He actually said I didn't like him. Well, it's all a misunderstanding. Actually, my wife also likes me. Looking at my sleeping wife in my arms, I gave her a smooch. So cute. She's mine alone.